Patricia came downstairs in the morning after yet another restless night and found James already seated at the table with his laptop and a glass of milk. They looked at each other and waved. Patricia went to the kitchen to prepare her breakfast while James continued to focus on what he was doing. After Patricia finished eating, she returned to the living room and sat down, gazing at her brother. He closed his laptop and abruptly asked, "And you? What do you think about all this?" Patricia had to pause for a moment before answering. "To be honest, I don't know. This is too much information, and since I arrived, I've been more focused on keeping Mom calm than on thinking about this. What I can tell you is that I've felt like hitting her with a dead cat until it meows." James nodded. "And you?" "Well, I'm feeling even worse than you. But I think I've never been so disappointed in someone. Mom ruined everything. I noticed you were talking to Lisa for a bit yesterday." "Yes. She told me a lot of things about the club and the exchanges and how that might have messed with Mom's head for years. But why now? Don't you get it? We're finally both out of the house. Lisa told me this was supposed to be a kind of gift for Dad while also fulfilling her fixation, and that Mom hoped to come back the next day and have a transcendental experience with Dad to revitalize their relationship. And what do you think about that? Nonsense from people who want to justify their own selfishness, disguising it as something altruistic and for the good of both. I thanked Lisa for trying to help me understand what led Mom to do this, but nothing excuses her actions." Patricia nodded. "I always thought Mom was so smart," James continued. "You know that sometimes the smartest people do the dumbest things because they're convinced they're right." James sighed. "And now? What about Dad?" he eventually asked. "I don't know. I have no idea what to do. I have no idea what to say to Dad. He says she's dead to him and that if we want to talk to him, it's better not to mention her. He's going to call you today. What are you going to say?" "I don't know. I really have no idea. What I do know is that the only person who could try to solve this, although I doubt it will be resolved satisfactorily, is still up there feeling sorry for herself for the pile of shit she made, as if she didn't actually do it and even went to the trouble of throwing it against the fan. And honestly, I'm in the middle of a bunch of exams and assignments, and I don't have time to wait for her to stop feeling sorry for herself. I have to go tomorrow. And you're right. And you will. I'm just going to stay a day or two longer, but she's going to have to start taking action. One thing I know, I won't risk my relationship with Dad because of her. Neither will I." They heard noise and saw Marie coming down the stairs. They fell silent, and Patricia went to help her mother make breakfast and force her to eat something while James returned his full attention to what he was doing before. Finally, the two of them came into the living room, and James closed his laptop. They remained silent for a long time. Then it was Marie who spoke, "Sorry." And not getting any answer from her children, she took a deep breath and continued, "None of this was supposed to be like this." "But it is," said James. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know, frankly, I don't know." "You better start knowing. It's your responsibility to solve this." "But I don't know how. Your father hates me." "At this moment, so do I." Her son's words hit her like a slap in the face. "Mom, you know I love you, but your stupidity, insensitivity, and selfishness have made Dad go into a war zone just to get away from you. Do you realize how much he must hate you to prefer risking his life than having to deal with you? He chose to leave behind the house he was remodeling, the car he always wanted and was so happy with, his friends, his children, just to avoid dealing with you." Marie dropped her head. "I know. I know I did everything wrong. But I just wanted." "What? A little excitement? Spare me those clichés from the gossip magazines. If you wanted excitement, you could have gone bungee jumping or paragliding. You didn't just betray Dad. You betrayed all of us. But now it's up to us to pick up the pieces of what you shattered." Not to mention always worrying about what's going to happen with Dad. I never thought you could be so selfish. Marie wasn't crying, but her eyes were fixed on some point on the living room carpet, and she was shaking slowly. James got up, sat down next to her, and pulled her into his arms. Patricia and I will pick up the pieces, but you're going to have to be the one to glue them together. Get down to reality and start doing something. James looked at Patricia, who joined the embrace, comforting and beginning to give some hope to Marie.